Imagine a football club that's won the FA Cup, defied the odds to reach the top flight, and become a symbol of gritty underdog spirit in English football. Now picture that same club being ripped from its community, moved over 50 miles away, and rebranded as something entirely new, leaving thousands of loyal fans feeling utterly betrayed. If you're not familiar with MK Dons, that story might sound like a dramatic plot from a film, but it's the harsh reality behind one of the most divisive chapters in the game's history. And it's why, even today, MK Dons are often labelled as the most hated club in England. In this video, we'll dive deep into the real reasons behind that disdain, exploring the backstory, the key events, and the lasting impact on football culture. Stick with me, because this isn't just about one club, it's about the soul of the sport we all love. To understand why MK Dons provoke such strong feelings, we need to go back to the roots of the club they essentially replaced, Wimbledon FC. Founded in 1889 as Wimbledon Old Centrals, the team started life in the amateur ranks, playing on local commons and building a modest following in South London. For decades, they bounced around non-league football, but in 1977, something remarkable happened. They were elected into the Football League's 4th division. What followed was a meteoric rise that captured the imagination of fans across the country. Under managers like Dave Bassett, Wimbledon climbed the divisions with a no-nonsense direct style of play that earned them the nickname the Crazy Gang. By 1986, they were in the 1st division, rubbing shoulders with giants like Manchester United and Liverpool. Their crowning glory came in 1988, when they stunned Liverpool 1-0 in the FA Cup final at Wembley. But success on the pitch masked growing problems off it. Wimbledon's home ground, Plough Lane, was a compact, aging stadium in Merton, with a capacity that struggled to match their ambitions. The Taylor Report after the Hillsborough disaster in 1989 mandated all-seater stadiums for top-flight clubs, and Plough Lane simply couldn't be upgraded without massive investment. In 1991, Chairman Sam Hammam, bought the club a decade earlier, arranged a ground share at Crystal Palace's Selhurst Park, about 5 miles away. It was meant to be temporary, but it dragged on for over a decade. Hammam had big dreams, but financial realities bit hard. Attendances averaged 7,000 to 10,000, far lower than most other Premier League clubs at the time, limiting matchday income compared to rivals far below what was needed to compete sustainably in the Premier League, which Wimbledon joined at its inception in 1992. Hammam explored wild ideas like relocating to Dublin or even merging with Queen's Park Rangers, but these were shot down by authorities and fans alike. In 2000, he sold the club to 2 Norwegian businessmen, Kjell Inge Røkke and Bjørn Rune Gjelsten, for around £28 million. They inherited a club in decline, relegated from the Premier League that year, and with no permanent home. Charles Koppel, appointed as chairman, quickly identified the club's precarious finances. Losses were mounting, and without a viable stadium in Merton, the future looked bleak. Enter Milton Keynes, a new town in Buckinghamshire established in 1967, designed as a modernist utopia with roundabouts, green spaces, and a population booming towards 250,000. But it lacked one thing, a professional football club to call its own. Local entrepreneur Pete Winkelman, a music promoter turned property developer, saw an opportunity. He'd formed a consortium to build a multi-purpose stadium as part of a larger retail and leisure development, including an Asda superstore. The catch? Planning permission hinged on attracting a Football League club to anchor the project. Winkelman approached several teams, including Luton Town and Barnet, but got nowhere. Then, in 2000, he turned to Wimbledon, whose owners were desperate. The proposal to relocate Wimbledon FC to Milton Keynes was formally announced in August 2001. Koppel argued it was the only way to save the club from bankruptcy, claiming the owners were subsidising £6 million a year and that Merton Council had blocked local redevelopment plans. But the reaction was immediate and furious. Wimbledon fans, already feeling alienated by the Selhurst Park exile, saw this as the ultimate betrayal, a club with over a century of history in South London being uprooted to a place with no emotional connection. Protests erupted, with banners reading "No to MK" and petitions gathering thousands of signatures. The Football League board unanimously rejected the move in August 2001, stating it would not be in the wider interests of football and could undermine the sport's community roots. Over weeks of hearings, they heard from fans, officials, and experts. Supporters argued passionately that a club's identity is tied to its place. Moving it 56 miles north would kill Wimbledon FC in all but name. Merton Council and even a parliamentary all-party committee opposed it, warning of a franchise model creeping into English football, akin to American sports where teams relocate for profit. On 28 May 2002, the Commission delivered its verdict. By a 2-to-1 majority, the move was approved. Parker and Stride concluded that without relocation, Wimbledon FC faced certain liquidation, and Milton Keynes offered the best chance for survival. Turvey dissented, believing alternatives in London were possible. The decision shocked the football world. FA Chief Executive Adam Crozier described the decision as deeply troubling and contrary to the spirit of the game. Fans felt gutted. Here was an institution they'd supported through thick and thin, sold off like a commodity. Just 2 days later, on the 30th of May 2002, a group of disillusioned Wimbledon supporters, including Chris Stewart and Mark Jones, founded AFC Wimbledon. Starting in the 9th tier of English football, the Combined Counties League, they vowed to rebuild from the grassroots, preserving the Dons spirit in South London. It was a defiant act of fan power, with trials held on Wimbledon Common attracting over 200 hopefuls. Meanwhile, the original club limped on. Attendances plummeted. One match drew just 849 fans, and in June 2003, Wimbledon FC entered administration with debts of £20 million. Winkelman's Inter-MK group stepped in, buying the club for a nominal fee and completing the move. The first game in Milton Keynes was on 27 September 2003 against Burnley at the temporary National Hockey Stadium, drawing 5,639 spectators. In June 2004, the club was officially renamed Milton Keynes Dons FC, or MK Dons, adopting a new badge and white home kit. Winkelman justified it as creating a fresh identity for a new town, but to many it was the final insult, erasing Wimbledon entirely. Initially, MK Dons claimed the old club's history, including the 1988 FA Cup win, which only fueled the rage. It wasn't until 2007, after pressure from the Football Supporters Federation, that they relinquished those honours, transferring trophies and memorabilia back to Merton Council. By then, the damage was done. So, why exactly are MK Dons so widely disliked? It boils down to a profound sense of betrayal and a clash with football's core values. In England, clubs aren't just businesses, they're community anchors, woven into local identities over generations. Moving a team isn't like shifting a factory, it's like stealing a piece of people's heritage. Wimbledon fans felt their club was hijacked by outsiders for profit. Pete Winkelman himself later admitted regret, saying in 2012, "I'm not proud of the way this club came to exist. Do I think it was right? No, but for many, that's too little, too late." The franchise label sticks because the relocation mirrored American sports models, where teams like the Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis overnight. English football prides itself on organic growth. Clubs rise and fall based on merit and local support. MK Dons bypassed that, parachuting into the league with Wimbledon's spot. Fans of other clubs saw it as a dangerous precedent. If it could happen to Wimbledon, who was next? Protests continued. Away supporters often chanted, "You're getting beaten by a franchise." And some boycotted matches at Stadium MK. The 30,000 capacity arena opened in 2007. Examples abound. When MK Dons faced AFC Wimbledon for the first time in the FA Cup in December 2012, the atmosphere was electric with hostility. MK won 2-1 with a late goal from John Otsemobor, but AFC fans refused to acknowledge them by name, calling them Franchise FC or MK Franchise. In 2017, AFC Wimbledon was even charged by the EFL for not using MK Dons on their scoreboard and program, though the case was resolved through mediation. And let's pause for a moment to reflect. Was financial survival worth severing those community ties? Imagine if your local club, the one your family has followed for decades, was suddenly gone. Would you accept a replacement or fight to start anew? It's questions like these that make the MK Dons saga so thought-provoking. It forces us to confront the tension between football as a business and as a cultural institution. This betrayal didn't just hurt Wimbledon fans, it rippled through English football culture, eroding trust in owners and authorities. Before 2002, relocations were rare and usually short distance, like Arsenal moving from Woolwich to Highbury in 1913. AFC Wimbledon's rise from non-league to League One by 2016, overtaking MK Dons at times, proved that supporters could reclaim their club. They returned to a new Plough lane in 2020, funded partly by fan investments, a triumph of community over commerce. Matches between MK Dons and AFC Wimbledon are laced with bitterness, but they've also created new narratives. For instance, when AFC Wimbledon survived relegation in 2018 while MK Dons went down, it felt like poetic justice to many. Reflecting on this, you can't help but wonder about the human cost. Families divided, friendships strained, a community's pride shattered. Winkelman has poured millions into MK Dons, building a state-of-the-art academy and community programs that engage 60,000 people annually. But does that erase the original sin? For many, no. The club's average attendance hovers around 7,000 to 8,000 in a 30,000-seat stadium, suggesting the hatred lingers, with some fans still boycotting. If this tale of betrayal and resilience stirs something in you, the way football's heart is tied to its people, then I'd love for you to join me in exploring more stories like this. Hit that like button if it made you think, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep unpacking the game's deeper layers together. Your support means we can dive into more of these compelling narratives. The MK Dons controversy also reshaped rivalries. Beyond AFC Wimbledon, there's tension with Northampton Town and Peterborough United, but nothing matches the raw edge of those derbies. In 2024, when AFC won 1-0 at Stadium MK, their fans celebrated like it had avenged decades of hurt. It's a reminder that football's passions run deep, often rooted in history's wounds. As we wrap up, consider how this event exposed the vulnerabilities in our beloved game. It showed that when profit trumps tradition, the fallout can last generations. But it also highlighted hope. AFC Wimbledon's success proves fans can fight back. If this betrayal left you questioning ownership in football, you're not alone. And speaking of ownership gone wrong, there's another story that takes it to even darker places. How a poultry empire from India bought Blackburn Rovers and turned a proud club into a shadow of itself. If you thought MK Dons was controversial, wait until you hear about Venky's and the chaos they unleashed. Head to the end screen right now and click on Football's Biggest Betrayal, How Venky's Destroyed Blackburn Rovers. It's the natural next step to see how far greed can go in our game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.